G'day everybody, so here I am in my motel room in Christchurch. Had that little issue with the tip on my hiking pole, so I thought I'd do a little video on how to swap over the tips. I've been doing a bit of YouTube research myself, and a bit of combination of things was needed to get mine to work. Some people just use a shifter or a crescent or a spanner, depending what country you're from, and they sort of whack it off, and I'll show you what they do. But some of these tips are actually glued on, so you may need to heat it. Some people use heat guns and all sorts of things. I just found boiling some water, sticking the tip in it for about 10 minutes, really heating up the plastic. It was a little bit sticky on the lecky pole, so I think they did have some sort of adhesive there. And then I heated up the new one as well to get it on. But I'll take you through the steps and I'll show you what I did. Everything I'm doing here, you could also do on trail as well and take some spare tips with you, and then you won't have to come off trail like I have to sort this situation out. So that's my advice. I'd always travel with some spare tips with me now. Anyway, we'll spin the camera around. I'll show you what to do. Okay, so here's the new tips that I've just purchased. You can see the other end of it here with a new carbide tip on it. And then if we look at the old hiking pole, well, this one here, that's the one I've just replaced. But the first step we've got to do is actually take off our little buckets here. And to do that, you have to actually grab here and pull down this way to undo it, because it'll go over some threads. If you look at the brand new one here, okay, you can see the threads that we've got there. The threads are just down here. And when you screw your sort of cups on, or your buckets, they will go completely over that thread into the smooth area of the tip here, and then they can spin around freely and they can't undo while you're walking. So we'll pull down on this and we'll get the cup off. I think I called it a bucket, but it's actually meant to be called a cup, and you'll start to see it coming here, and it won't take long. And then this will come completely off. There it goes. So they're pretty easy to take off. Then you'd be in a position, obviously I'm not going to do it on this one because I've just put the new tip on it, but I'm going to do my other pole as well. So I'll get this new tip off the other pole and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so some people will just use a shifter, spanner, crescent, whatever you want to call it. And I've borrowed this massive one from the accommodation. The maintenance gentleman's loaned me it. And then I'll put this shifter over here and I'll tighten it up till it touches the pole, and then I'll loosen it a little bit, just enough so they can actually slide this up and down the pole, and then I'll whack the tip and they come flying off. Now that works fine on any pole brand that hasn't had the tips glued in place. In my case, I gave it a few whacks and it didn't even budge. So I had to go to the next step and soften it. So here's the next step. Some people use heat guns and so forth. I'll be a bit worried about controlling the temperature with that. So I've just boiled my jug, and now I'm just putting, there's the old tip there that I want to take off. It's just sitting in there, and I put my stopwatch on for 10 minutes. So I'll just let that soften a little bit longer. Then we'll get out a bit of a rag, or a flannel in this case, because I'm in my motel room, and we'll be able to pull that off and it'll soften. There was a little bit of stickiness on the lecky pole, so I assume there's a little bit of glue there. The other tricky thing with the shifter trying to knock it off my lecky poles, if you look closely, my carbon fibre poles are actually tapered, so I couldn't get a good swing on the shifter, crescent, spanner, whatever you want to call it. And I couldn't just put it on the end and then whack it with a hammer to try and get it off. So this was the only way I could get it to budge, was with the hot water. So there's my tip there. Still a little bit damp because I heated it up. Now we'll need to use a rag because it's hot. And we can grab that and turn it. And just like that, the old tip just came off. There's the old one. And it's already come off the end of the hiking pole. We can have a look here. If you look closely at my pole, once the camera focuses on it, you can see a little bit of a line here. So now we know how far on we need to get the new tip, so it's on the same distance as the old one. And if I just touch that It's just a little bit sticky there, so that's why I suspect they may have had a little bit of glue of some sort there to help hold it on. So I'll give that a bit of a clean up. Then I'm going to put the new tip on, and we're going to heat that one up as well. Okay, so there goes the new tip. We're just going to push that on as best we can. Then I'm going to put it on the floor and give it a few taps. Okay, and maybe you know this when you can see in the video that that's the old tip that didn't actually get sheared completely off by that shale of rock that slid into the other pole, which is a bit unfortunate, but you can see it is a little bit bent, and these things do flex. It's called a flexi tip, and that's to save your pole. So if the tip of your pole gets stuck in the ground, you've got a good brand like a Lecky pole, it will actually bend around 30 degrees and it will bend through this tip rather than snap your main hiking pole. That's the whole point of it. And if we just grab the camera here, this is the one I want to try and get on the whole way. So you can see there, I just boiled the jug. I've filled this little cup up with water just above the plastic, or just above the new tip. And I put a little bit of tape on there just so I can see where the original one got to, and see if I can tap it down and get as close to the original location as the original tip. So it's held on nice and tight and won't come off easily. Okay, so that's 10 minutes in the hot water. We give it a few taps. We have a look here. You can see there's still a little bit of a gap between the top of the new tip and the tape, which showed where the old tip got to. But there could be some slight differences, and sometimes I just get up here and I'll just lean down on the pole as well, just to try and, you can see me in the mirror here, just lean down, try and force that new tip on as far as we actually can. And it's gone on a little bit further, but that's about as far as we're going to get. So I think that's well and truly secured on now. So there it is, that's all done now. It's just a matter of pushing the cup back on, or the basket back on again, and screwing it on until it goes past the threads. If you are concerned about it staying on with pure friction, I'm not. I'm happy with the friction there because I've heated it up and I've got it well and truly over the end of my pole. And you want to use a glue, you should go to a craft shop and use one of those heat gun applied glues. That way, if your new tip ever has an issue with it and you've got to replace it, you can put it in boiling water or use a heat gun, soften that glue, and you can get your tip off again. If you use super glue, I don't think you'll ever get it off, and you're probably up for a whole new set of hiking poles. Hopefully that helps. See ya.